Did Putin just give Trump the cold shoulder despite the US president's outreach for renewed diplomacy with Moscow? Trump reportedly asked Ukraine to pause strikes during the US delegation's Russia visit, only to face an apparent snub from Putin. Why did Putin ignore Trump's spy chief during his visit to Moscow, even as Washington sought direct diplomatic engagement? The Kremlin said President Vladimir Putin did not meet CIA Director John Ratcliffe during Ratcliffe's reported visit to Moscow. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told TASS on August 26 that no meeting between Putin and Ratcliffe had been planned. Reports described the trip as Ratcliffe's first publicly known official visit to Russia since taking charge of the CIA. Ratcliffe has maintained contact with Sergei Naryshkin, the head of Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, or SVR. Naryshkin had earlier indicated that he was willing to meet Ratcliffe as contacts continued between the two intelligence services. Peskov said Ratcliffe's Moscow visit involved contacts between Russian and American security services. Ukraine was reportedly informed in advance that a US delegation would travel to Russia for talks. However, Kyiv was reportedly not initially told that CIA Director John Ratcliffe will be part of the visiting American delegation. The United States reportedly asked Ukraine not to launch strikes on Moscow or St. Petersburg during Ratcliffe's visit. US envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were also expected to visit Ukraine this week, but their planned trip was postponed. A source denied earlier reports suggesting that intensified Russian attacks on Ukraine had caused the delay in the visit. The developments come as Washington and Moscow increasingly pursue direct bilateral contacts despite the continuing deadlock in peace negotiations. Although peace talks remain stalled, the United States and Russia have kept diplomatic and security channels open. Ukraine appears to be gradually, slowly losing the war against Russia, according to ousted Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov. Fedorov says Ukraine has reached a turning point that will determine its future course. While he insists Ukraine can still win, he says the country urgently needs a clear plan to end the war. The former defense minister has criticized what he calls Ukraine's lack of an overall strategy for victory. His remarks mark a sharp departure from Kyiv's official rhetoric and deepen pressure on President Volodymyr Zelensky's wartime leadership. Ukraine has a window of only several months to change course, Fedorov warns. He says Kyiv must act before Russia adapts to Ukrainian tactics and closes the remaining opportunities for a battlefield turnaround. Fedorov says Ukraine's state apparatus is running at just 5% effectiveness. He blames wasted potential, weak innovation and institutional dysfunction for undermining the war effort. Fedorov's warning comes as Ukraine confronts mounting battlefield and governance pressures. He says new technologies could help stop Russian advances, but argues Kyiv lacks the vision and execution needed to deploy them effectively. Ukraine appears to be gradually, slowly losing the war, ousted Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov told Reuters, though he said the country still has a chance to win. Mikhailo Fedorov made the remarks in an interview with Reuters after his removal as defense minister in July, only 6 months after his appointment. Fedorov says Kyiv has only several months to take the decisions needed to change the course of the war. The former minister says Ukraine lacks a coherent overall plan to win and urgently needs a strategy to bring the war to an end. Fedorov blamed corruption, patronage networks, and a failure to innovate for weakening Ukraine's war effort. He has previously said attempts to reform defense procurement met resistance from powerful officials. Fedorov says Ukraine's state apparatus is operating at just 5% effectiveness, pointing to widespread inefficiency and untapped capacity. Fedorov has also called for wartime elections, mounting a major internal political challenge to Zelensky. Ukrainian law currently prohibits elections under martial law, and polling has shown limited public appetite for a vote while the fighting continues. Mikhailo Fedorov said, and I quote, "I think that there's now a turning point which will determine our future trajectory, but it looks as though we're gradually, slowly losing. Technologies exist already which could completely stop the Russians, but our absence of vision means we do not apply them. By the end of the year, the budget deficit under our planning was around $5 billion, and we knew where we would get it. Perhaps the plan changed and new projects emerged that require such a budget." Unquote. Ukraine's FP-5 Flamingo missile may not be as invincible as touted by Volodymyr Zelensky, with Russia claiming a fresh interception. A Ukrainian FP-5 Flamingo missile flying over Kursk was allegedly shot down by Russian air defenses, according to Russian reports. The interception allegedly took place during a Ukrainian missile and drone attack on August 23, as Russian forces responded to the incoming strikes. Kursk Governor Alexander Kinstein said the Flamingo missile flew below 50 meters, according to RT, making detection more challenging. The Bars Kursk Mobile Air Defense Unit reportedly detected the missile traveling at around 500 kilometers per hour. Russian volunteers then reportedly opened fire with a machine gun at the Ukrainian missile, attempting to bring down the incoming projectile. The projectile reportedly lost altitude after being hit and crashed into a wooded area, according to an RT report. A video showing the alleged missile interception was released by Bars Kursk soldiers, RT claimed, offering a rare glimpse of the incident. A second part of the footage reportedly shows soldiers examining the wreckage at the crash site after the missile came down. Russian forces claimed they recovered mission data from the missile's wreckage, potentially revealing details about its intended target. Russia further claimed the recovered wreckage showed the Ukrainian missile was aimed at a key facility in Tula, though the allegation remains unverified. Russian officials allegedly said the missile carried a warhead equivalent to 1 ton of explosives, highlighting the claimed destructive potential. Ukraine unveiled the FP-5 Flamingo in 2025 and presented it as a key long-range strike weapon, adding to Kyiv's growing missile arsenal. Ukrainian forces targeted Russian ozone logistics hubs for a third consecutive night on August 23 to 24, extending a campaign against Moscow's major retail supply networks. Russian monitoring channels reported fires at ozone facilities in Adygea and Stavropol during the overnight attacks, although the full extent of the damage remained unclear. A Kuchenland warehouse in Russia's Krasnodar region also caught fire during the drone attacks, adding to the disruption reported across the region. Krasnodar Governor Veniamin Kondrativ said falling drone debris killed 2 children and injured 7 other people during the overnight strikes. Kondrativ said the debris also damaged residential buildings and sparked additional fires at warehouse and logistics facilities. The latest strikes followed several Ukrainian attacks targeting Russian retail and logistics infrastructure in recent days, suggesting Kyiv was increasingly focusing on networks supporting Russia's war economy. Meanwhile, Russia struck a Mondelez factory in Ukraine's Sumy region on August 23, with the attack reportedly injuring several people. Ukraine said the facility belonged to a major American company and used the strike to renew calls for stronger Western air defense support. President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukrainian forces had struck a Russian Iskander missile launcher near the border on August 22 as Kyiv sought to reduce the threat from ballistic attacks. Zelensky said Ukraine was increasingly targeting Russian missile launchers because its air defense forces were facing a critical shortage of interceptors. He warned that Russia could potentially produce as many as 1,300 ballistic missiles a year, raising concerns about Moscow's ability to sustain large-scale missile barrages. Ukraine has received 264 Patriot interceptors this year, but its air force has reportedly requested around 360 missiles to meet the growing threat. Germany has also agreed to provide 600 PAC-2 missiles during 2027 and 2028, as Kyiv continues pressing Washington and its allies for additional air defense supplies. Ukraine is meanwhile developing the Freyja air defense system as a longer-term alternative intended to reduce its dependence on expensive Western interceptor systems such as Patriot.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.